Hey there, I'm Tom. Thanks for joining me today. We're going to take a deep dive look into a new plugin that I am using that just saves me so much time, and it's from Retouch4me. They have quite a few amazing products. Most of them are plugins that also work as standalone programs. The ones that I'm going to show you today, they have some amazing retouching tools that we'll get into in future videos. But the one that I want to look at today is Clean Backdrop. So if you're like me and you shoot dancers or high school seniors or even some fashion photography using rolls of paper or seamless backgrounds, this is going to be such a huge time saver. I love to edit. Most of my tutorials are about editing, but one thing I hate is just boring, repetitive tasks. And cleaning up a dirty background, that is just not fun, and it takes a huge amount of time to get it right. Clean Backdrop by Retouch4me is like magic. It is amazing how quickly it will clean your background and do it in a believable way. It is AI based, and I think that's why we're getting such beautiful results from it. And if you have access to the internet, it will also be able to use its neural network for even better results. So if you already own this program, I think this is going to be a great tutorial to learn how to use it. If you're new to Clean Backdrop, you can get a free trial, the demo version for both Windows or Mac. But if you do decide to use it, be sure to use the link below because it's going to save you 20% off. They don't use a discount code, they use a link. So click on the link, save 20% off, and enjoy this great program. One of the great things about this program is you can use it as a plugin for Photoshop or use it as a standalone program. The interface is the same once you get to the actual retouching part. It's just a matter of your personal workflow. There have been a ton of tutorials showing how to use it as a Photoshop plugin, so I'm going to concentrate on showing you how to use it as a standalone program. Either way, once you're in the program, everything I'm going to show you is exactly how you would use it, whether it was a plugin or standalone. Let's get to it. So let's launch Retouch4me Clean Backdrop. So when using Retouch4me Clean Backdrop as a standalone program, you'll open it up. First step is going to be selecting an image. You'll notice raw files are grayed out. You're going to want to use either a JPEG or a TIFF file. Let's start with an image that shows you exactly why I love this program. Once it loads in, it's going to automatically analyze the photo and then do its magic and clean the background. And just like that, we have amazing results. So let's take a look at the different areas. Up in the left corner, you'll see the original. If we click on that, you'll see what we started with. A preview is going to show you all the different areas that it has retouched. Auto mask is if Clean Backdrop actually affected the subject. If you click on that, it will take off any of the corrections that were applied to your subject. Pan and zoom is the default setting, so that instantly lets you use your scroll wheel on your mouse to zoom in, so you can check different areas. Once you are zoomed in, again, click on the original, you'll see what you started with. So this was an extremely dirty background, and look at what an amazing job it did. Retouch4me is going to get you 90 to 95% of the way, even on a terrible, dirty background like what I used. If you're super picky, you may see still a few lines here, a line going through the shadow, but at regular viewing distance, it's not something that you'd see. And if it is something that bothered you, you would hop back into a program like Photoshop or On1Photo Raw or any editing program and touch that one area up. But it would save you countless hours of going from here to here in just a click of a button. While the auto mask automatically finds the subject and protects it, you can do that manually as well by using the tools on the left panel. So to protect an area, you would click on the brush and then right click. And that would protect that area and not apply the cleanup. So let's do that on a dirty area as well, just so you can see it. So now if we go back, we can see it protected that area and kept the dirt in, and it would have done the same on this area here. If you click on the erase button, then you can undo that. Again, by right-clicking on it, filling in the mask. And now the automatic correction from clean backdrop is cleaning the floor. For the most part, I find automask works quite well if clean backdrop is affecting your subject and you don't really need to use these tools on the side. But if you need them, they are there. Okay, let's take a look at the bottom left. And the first part is live mode. That shows you are connected to the neural network. So it's using the advanced cleaning features on the neural network. You'll get different results depending on whether you're using the neural network or doing everything locally. So if you turn it off, it will recalculate it, and now it's just using the computer processors to do the cleaning, and there's a slight difference. In this case, it didn't do quite as nice of a job as it did before when we were using the neural network. So let's go back to that. And again, a little better this way. I have seen instances where turning off the neural network has given slightly better results. It really just depends case by case. But for overall guidance, I would suggest using the live network first. Then you have a choice of fine dirt, medium dirt, coarse dirt. I would have thought that coarse dirt would remove the most, but I find fine dirt is a really great place to start, and that's the setting I find I use most of the time. Let's just go to coarse. You'll notice in this case it's leaving a lot more of the pattern in the background. So for this image, and I find for most images, fine is a great place to be. Finally, there's an opacity setting that's in the top middle. So it's the blend mode, and by default it's 100% in strength, but you can dial it back. Again, for most of the use, I find 100% is the perfect place to be. And then once you are happy with the results, it will save the image. So something that's really important is when you do just save the image, it's overwriting the image. So if you want to keep the original file with the dirt on the background, you'll want to do a save as, and then just rename it. We'll call it CB for clean backdrop, and then save. And then you can decide where you want to save it to. So let me show you how I work with single images, again, without using Photoshop, using Clean Backdrop as a standalone program. It will also do batch retouching, and I'll show you that as well. So sit back and enjoy. Remember, if you do want to get this amazing piece of software? Use the link below and save 20% off Clean Backdrop by Retouch4me. So now we're in my photo editor on OnePhoto Raw. You'll notice the image that we just worked on of Kenley. And because I did hit save, it overwrote the file. So be sure to use save as if you don't want your files overwritten. I knew I had the raw file for that, so I wasn't worried about it. But if you just had JPEG files, it would have overwritten your original file, and that could present a problem. So in that case, be sure to use the save as. So let's take a look at a few different images, and then we'll do the batch processing. A nice thing about working with a program like On1 is if you don't want your files overwritten, all I have to do is right-click on the file, go down to send to. The first time you'd want to do this is send it to other application, and then you'll find it. Once you have used it once, it's going to show up here. So I can now send files directly to Clean Backdrop. And it's not going to send the original unless I select Edit Original. I'm going to edit the copy with settings applied. So if I made any adjustments to this JPEG using On1, it's going to apply those settings into a new TIFF file and send that to Retouch4me Clean Backdrop. So there it made the TIFF file. Now it's loading that into Retouch4me. And boom, again, just like that, we went from a dirty background to a clean background. Kind of zoom out just a little bit so we can see what it did, right? So this was a fairly clean background, but there's always little things on there. As careful as you try to be, seamless paper seems to attract dirt, but this is like magic. The reason I wanted to show you this example is where auto mask comes in handy. If we take a look at Brianna and look at her hair on the right side, you'll see that the software is applying the cleaning to her hair. So that's where auto mask comes in, or using the tools over here. So if we looked at preview, we'd see that area. So we could use manual, click on the brush, and then right click and just remove it from her hair, and now go back to the original. The before and after, it's not affecting the hair, but it is cleaning the background. Let's go and erase that part by using the erase tool, right clicking, and we'll add it all back in. Because I want you to know you don't have to go through that process, because you can use the auto mask. So again, here's the original, here's after, and now if we click on auto mask, it's going to automatically select Brianna and remove any of the retouching done on her. And this time I will hit save, because it's going to save it to that TIFF file, not the original file. And we'll quit Retouch4me and go back to on OnePhoto Raw. So let's take a look at another example. This time we'll do a raw file, and this is one that I've already worked on and manually cleaned up the background. So let's take that into on OnePhoto Raw, and this is where I manually cleaned the background myself. So it went from here to here. And I used the blur layer, so if I was just somebody who had to clean up one or two backgrounds, this is how I would do it. But if I'm working on any type of volume, this just takes a lot of time to go through, and it doesn't even give you the best results. They're passable, but nothing as nice as Clean Backdrop. So let's turn off that layer for a moment. I'm gonna hit the check mark OK. So this will take it back to the dirty floor. So let me show you how I retouch my dance photos now. So I would right click on this. Again, send it to Retouch4me, clean backdrop. So as you can see, I'm using the neural network. I have fine dirt. It uses the last one that you used. And just like that, it did an amazing job. But if we look at the original and notice her white dress, clean backdrop applied a little bit to her dress as well. And we can see that if we look at the preview, it shows in the green highlighted areas, every place that it has cleaned up. So let's use the auto mask. So here the auto mask does a great job of restoring the detail in the dress, but cleaning the background. Happy with the results, we'll hit save and go back to On One Photo Raw. So we can take a look at these two images. On one, hit the letter C and it will take you into compare, and we can see exactly what Retouch4me did. So I told you Retouch4me will get you 90 to 95% of the correction. There may be a small area like that I want to go back and manually take that little lightness area out. But overall, look at the amazing job Retouch4me did. I mean, that is magic. That just saves so much time. I mentioned you can use the fine, medium, or coarse settings. Again, let's just take a quick look at how those are different. I'm going to highlight 3 images. I did fine and coarse and the original. The original is to the right, fine is in the middle, and coarse is on the left. Let's zoom in. So you'll notice in this back area, fine did a great job. Coarse kind of left a little bit of it there. Notice how well it just cleans this up. This is such tedious work to try to remove and clean all this area up. And just with a click of the button, Clean Backdrop just does an amazing job. I just assisted Charles Shiner's workshop this Saturday. He's an awesome instructor. And during the workshop, we used a yellow roll of paper. And I want you to get an idea of limitations that you may want to correct images before you send them to Retouch4me. So normal dirt, not a problem. So the images on the right and the middle, no problems at all with that. The image on the left, though, has a really bad crease going through it, and that's something that Retouch4me is going to struggle with. That's why knowing limitations of any software ahead of time is going to help you achieve the best results possible. So what did I do on the right and middle images? Well, I just took that image into On One. I photographed both RAW and JPEG. My JPEG exposures are perfect, so editing, I'm using the original JPEG file. So exposure was dead on because I was using a light meter, studio lighting, so it was controlled from shot to shot. So I'm not spending time doing any type of corrections to my exposure or color balance. All of that was taken care of at the time of shooting. So let's zoom in just a little bit. We see the dirt, but the area that's going to struggle with clean backdrop is that hard crease. So I'm going to hit the letter Q, zoom in just a touch, and all I'm going to do is go across here and let it pick an area. So it's still going to be dirty. I don't care about that. I just want the crease gone. And I'll do the same thing over here. Again, hitting the letter Q for the healing brush. And just like that. Again, I'm not trying to clean the background. I'm just getting rid of the crease. If I was already doing this to get rid of the crease, I know the super dirty boot tracks are going to also leave an area. So I'll just take a quick swipe at those as well. And again, it doesn't matter if I leave it with some dirt. I'm not trying to clean it. I'm just getting rid of those areas that are going to be a trouble in clean backdrop. So I'll hit OK, and there the crease is gone, but the dirt is still there. So that would have taken less than 30 seconds if I wasn't making a tutorial going step by step over the process. I'm going to hit letter G, get out of the compare mode. I'm going to highlight the one image, right click. So remember this JPEG, even though I show both JPEG and RAW, this JPEG would be considered an original file. So I don't want to retouch over that. So by right-clicking, sending it to Retouch4me clean backdrop is going to make a TIFF file and send that TIFF file to Retouch4me. And again, because I took the time to get rid of that crease in the background and get rid of the boot prints that were probably my boot prints when I was doing a light reading, we have excellent results. So if we take a look down here from the original to now, just fantastic results. Also with paper backgrounds, a lot of times you'll get these little dings in the background, and Clean Backdrop does a great job at removing those as well. So super quick and easy, Clean Backdrop is a huge time saver. And we'll hit save. But what if you had hundreds of images that you needed to retouch, to remove dirt, image after image? Well, this would have been a slow process, opening one at a time, but you can do batch processing. So let's first take a look here. These are raw files, and we know that Retouch4me is not going to work with raw files, so we want to convert them to JPEG. So I'm going to use the export feature. I'm going to save them as full res JPEGs, and we'll save them into a folder called Retouch4me. And I could save them as a TIFF. JPEG is going to be fine for my workflow, and we'll export those images. So now I have a folder with JPEG files. I'm going to right click on that folder and just show in Finder. We'll close that up on one photo raw as we're not using it right now. And we'll start up Retouch4me. So you could use select image and manually find that folder, but since I did show in Finder, my images are right here. I'm just going to highlight them and drop them into Clean Backdrop. And right down below, it's going to show all the images. You can click on one of the images to do an overall setting, so we could decide whether we want to use the neural network, whether we want fine, medium, or coarse, and we can look at that image and again find in the neural network are doing an amazing job. So once we're happy with that, all we have to do is hit start processing. And then it's going to give us a place to save. Normally I would just overwrite those JPEG files, but if you didn't want to do that, just make a new folder. We'll call that processed files. And just like that, in this case it's going to be doing 7 images, but it could do thousands of images. Batch processing, all done within Retouch4me Clean Backdrop. You don't need Photoshop. It works great as a standalone program. This has just been one of the hugest time savers for me. So be sure to try out the demo. If you like it, use the link below to save 20% off. Gotta use that link. 20% off. Clean Backdrop by Retouch4me. So here we are back in On One Photo. Those are the JPEGs that we sent to Retouch4me. And then under Process Files are the corrected files that are ready for the client or to send to our lab. So Retouch4me again did an amazing job. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Also, if you want to see more videos, be sure to hit subscribe. There are a couple more videos I want to do specifically on Retouch4me, so I'll make a playlist for that. They have some awesome plugins that I use for face and skin retouching that I'd love to show you. Thanks for joining me, and until next time, keep shooting.